Hello, my name is Stacy Burnell, and I am a speaker, author, and coach, but I am a part of the Utah Arts Festival this year for my work in my memoir, The Things We Don't Talk About. It is a memoir of hardships, healing, and hope. First and foremost, I want to say that I am extremely honored to have the opportunity this year to be a part of the event. And obviously, like everyone else, I was so excited to be involved and to take part this year. Like everyone knows, we're all in this global pandemic right now, just unprecedented times. It's been a pretty big roller coaster ride, I know, for my family, and I'm sure all of yours as well. So I'm really grateful that we have this opportunity to have this virtual space together. Obviously, it's not the huge festival, and I will be there next year with you all in person. But for now, I'm just really, again, excited for this opportunity to have this video and this virtual time to share with you. But I want to share with you kind of how this journey and the birth of my book came to be. In 2017, I actually had an opportunity to do kind of a motivational presentation, and I decided I was going to share my story. I was going to get very vulnerable. I called it Failure to Finisher, and I spoke about the ways that running my first marathon changed my life, and changed my life in amazing ways for the better, unexpected ways. After that first presentation in 2017, I was meeting and greeting with a lot of the audience members and hearing so many wonderful comments. And one person said to me, "You should write a book." And I remember the moment he said it to me that day, and I'm pretty sure I said to him, "That's stupid." Like, who would ever read my book? Who cares about my story? And he said to me, "You never know whose life you're going to touch by sharing your story." But I already had been dabbling in writing a little bit, so I decided, why not? Here and there, I would start putting some stories together, and when I felt inspired, and it was a process, because I found that it wasn't just like something that I could very casually do. I couldn't just, in between taking care of my special needs child and my younger son and everything else that goes along in life, it wasn't like I could just do it in between here and there, because the creative process and the mental and emotional process of really going back and digging down into stories, it took a toll. And it took, like, I had to get into this headspace. I was going back to periods in my life over 30 years ago that I had left buried for so long that it really was a process to unearth those memories. And as any writer, I'm sure, can attest, like, man, what an emotional process. So people ask me about that, what was that process like for you? It was emotional. So when people ask me about writing a book, mine actually took about 2.5 years from starting to really digging in and deciding, this is it, I'm going to do it. And most people are surprised by that, and they're like, oh, I would have thought it would have taken longer. I actually felt like that was a long time. In reality, I could still be writing it now. I mean, really, if that were the way things went, because even in that 2.5 year span, I kept going back and changing things, and life would change, and then I would, perspectives would change, and I would go back and things would shift. And I think I felt in some ways like I was sharing my story, and because my story is continuing to move forward and evolve, I felt like, at what point do I put a pin in it and call it good and say, this is it, and the story stops here, and anything else that has happened up to this point in my life, obviously it will be in the book, and obviously if it hasn't happened yet, I have no control over it. I obviously can't include it in my book. So it could have been this never-ending process. And I heard myself for over 2 years telling people, I'm writing a book. I'm writing a book. And other people would start saying it. She's writing a book. This is my friend Stacy. She's writing a book. And it got to the point where I felt like, am I writing a book? Am I really? Because I keep saying I am. Ultimately, I had surgery. I had a heel surgery last August, and as a runner, obviously I could not do that for a couple months. And that was when I, sitting on my couch, I'm like, all right, it's now or never. Let's do this. And that ultimately is how the book came to be. And it's been a pretty fun ride since then. The reason the title is The Things We Don't Talk About is each of these chapters of my book covers kind of these taboo topics. And I realized as I was writing it and as I was getting very uncomfortable putting a lot of these truths to the pages and knowing that it was going to be out into the world, available for public consumption, and opening myself up to any and all sorts of judgment, ridicule, criticism, hate, whatever, it was terrifying. And I kept feeling these, the title, I didn't have the title right off the bat. That really didn't come to me until kind of towards the end. And I thought, these topics that are in here, they're the things that people don't want to talk about. They are the things that kept me silent for a lot of my life and kept me in this place of shame. And it wasn't until I was able to open up that I really experienced that freedom, that enlightenment in my life. And it was in sharing those stories that I really have been able to connect with so many other people. And that's been part of my speaking journey as well. So, for example, some of the topics that I cover, that I wrote about, is that I was sexually abused as a child. That was something so traumatic and something that I held on to for so many years. Now, as a mom and a grandma and a grown-ass woman, I realize our statistic is 1 in 4. 1 in 4 girls and 1 in 5 boys. So I'm not alone. I was never alone, because I know what it's like to have that horrible feeling of walking into a room and kind of always wondering, like, what if people knew? And no one else has ever gone through these experiences, when really we are more connected and more alike than we realize. So that was one of my heaviest topics, was surviving childhood sexual abuse. I lost a friend to suicide in 2018. That was a pain I would never wish on anyone. And it is one of those topics where we don't talk about it. We think that if we talk about it, then we're going to cause it, or we're encouraging it. And that's not the case. But removing that stigma around mental health and being able to open up that conversation. I have an autistic son, and sharing my experience with that, because dude, there's days it sucks. Like, there's days it's just hard and it sucks all around. And it's the stuff that we don't want to talk about, because what kind of parent thinks or feels that way? And again, you just feel so alone sometimes. But then you get with these other special needs parents and you realize you're not alone. We all have these days. I placed a baby for adoption when I was a junior in high school. And that was, again, something I did not openly share. And it's a huge part of my life and story, and something that I carried so shamefully for so long. It doesn't define me. It never defined me. And if it did, it wasn't that I was a knocked up hoe, as I was called in high school, but I was a badass birth mother. And that was a title I couldn't take on until many, many, many years later, when I realized the magnitude of the decision I made at 17 years old and how selfless that was. There's so much beauty in that, but I carried it as this ugly, dirty part of myself for so long. So those are just a few of the topics. Again, the things we don't talk about. It's available on Amazon and Barnes & Noble. And if you want a signed copy, I have it available and happy to ship. I've shipped to as far as Okinawa, to Canada, I'll send it wherever you are. So let me know. I'm happy to sign copies. And I do want to read just one last section. I think it kind of sums up the overall feeling that I want readers to take away, without totally giving away the whole story. So, without further ado, when I thought about what I wanted for the cover of this book, the image of a purple party dress came into my mind. I have always had a thing for purple. In high school, I wanted a purple VW Bug. I wore lots of purple clothes, wrote with purple pens, and even ordered an amethyst for my class ring because I hated my birthstone, garnet. Later, Maya was born in February, and I was so glad to have more reason to wear amethyst. When I went to Weber State University, my fourth and final attempt at color was purple. The Unique Foundation that hosted the Haven Retreat I attended in March of 2018 also used the color purple as part of their brand. The universe has surrounded me with purple for so much of my life. So, it only seemed fitting for me to get a purple dress for this very important life occasion. I pictured the perfect dress. It had to be strapless with a poofy tulle skirt and less than $50. I immediately started an online search while lying in bed. The next day, I stopped by 2 consignment stores and left both empty-handed, feeling discouraged. I didn't have a lot of time and needed to get home, but I also felt compelled to try one last store. There was a Savers nearby, so I decided to stop there really quick. When I walked in, I glanced at the little sign that listed that day's discounted color tag, which was blue. I headed over to the small section of secondhand formal dresses. Hanging there, almost distanced from all the other dresses, was the dress you now see me wearing on the cover of this book. You're looking at the cover now, aren't you? It's okay. Go look. The price tag listed the dress for $14.99. What a steal! But the tag was, you guessed it, blue. I manifested my perfect purple party dress for $8. Y'all, this shit is real. I found it because I was looking for it. Who knows how long that dress hung there, passed up by others for one reason or another, because it was meant to be there for me in that exact moment that I was looking for it. And so it goes in life. You want to find your inner badass? The perfect person for you? Happiness? Success? Wealth? It exists and is going to be there when you're ready to find it. Don't believe me? If you're reading these words now, remember that not so long ago, these were ideas in my head. They were blank, non-existent pages. On a whim one day, I opened up my laptop and started typing. I told people I was writing a book. And now, my dear friend, you have read the physical manifestation of my heart and my soul. Pretty trippy, right? And if I can do this, you can do whatever you were meant to do too. You and I, we are badass humans. Even if you don't like the word badass, hell, even if you don't like me, I'm okay with that. I'm not for everybody. Hi, I'm Stacy, and I'm a recovering nobody. And now I'm a disruptor, a loud voice, a force to be reckoned with, an advocate, a champion for the underdog. I'm just one person trying to make a difference behind a long line of others who have laid the groundwork on which I am building. Want to join me? Want to be the change you wish to see in the world? You have it in you, whatever it is you set your heart and mind to do. It's a scary ride, but damn, is it an adventure. Go share your story. Someone is waiting to hear it. Thank you for letting me share mine. Thank you again for the opportunity to be part of the Utah Arts Festival, and I wish you all safety, health, happiness, and I'd love to connect with you in the future. So feel free to find me on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at CStacySpeak. I want you to know that your story matters and that I see the badass in you, and I hope you see it too. Cheers.